Hello everybody, Dead Spikes here, and today I'm going to make probably my final update to this build, unless there's patches that change it in the future. But yeah, this is after the latest patch that From Software let out that nerfed some things and changed how some things work. Yeah, so before I get into this full build, I'm going to show you two showcases of this build on Morgott, the boss behind me. I will let you know that I am on New Game Plus 2 or my third playthrough, and I am at a pretty high level. I think I'm at 240. So I'm going to showcase you the two weapons that I use for this build. The first setup is going to be with my double Uchi Katanas with Seppuku, and the second setup is going to be with my full Rivers of Blood build, which they're very similar, and I just want to showcase both of them to you, and then we'll come back to this build and talk about it. Alright, I hope you enjoyed both of those clips. Rivers of Blood is definitely amazing, and it's in the running, and it's a great weapon to use, and I do recommend it, but I think Seppuku still has the lead in terms of utility and efficiency. I think it's just a much faster kill. The Rivers of Blood is definitely great. You just need to do a special setup for it, and it's kind of a timed deal. So we'll go over the Rivers of Blood thing real quick before we go over the full build. So Rivers of Blood, you can see in that kill, well, that test that I showed you anyways, we dealt a lot of damage very quickly. Now the unfortunate part is when you use Rivers of Blood, you don't swing it. You don't swing it like a normal weapon. You can, but it's not going to be nearly as strong as a Seppuku Uchi Katana. The only way the Rivers of Blood can keep up with an Uchi Katana that is Seppuku is by using the weapon art. That's the only way it keeps up. So you have to spam the weapon art. And the unfortunate part about that is you lose your FP pretty quickly. And there's a way around this, and it's by using this Physic right here that eliminates all FP consumption. You can see I drink it in that clip right before I go up to him, and it lasts for about 5 to 10 seconds, and you get infinite spam of any spell or ability. So with that little trick, you can make Rivers of Blood absolutely amazing, and it's great. And if you want to use Rivers of Blood, all power to you. But in my personal opinion, I think the Occult Uchi Katana with Seppuku on both of them is just much better. And I'll go a little bit over that. So with the Occult Uchi Katana, the blood loss is 89, with the Rivers of Blood being 78. Obviously, I think Rivers of Blood loss goes up by a hell of a lot when you use the weapon art, but just for the normal swing, it's 78. Now, when you put Seppuku on this Occult Uchi Katana, it goes from 89 to about 200. Seppuku adds 110 blood loss buildup, and it adds around 40 physical damage, which is just crazy and makes it go way over Rivers of Blood. Now, Rivers of Blood altogether has more damage per swing with the fire and physical put together, but it's less than half bloodlust buildup on the normal swing. That's why you have to use the weapon art for it to even be useful. Now you pair this with a double Uchi Katana, you know, with every swing you're dealing roughly 400 bloodlust buildup. It's, in my opinion, still the best two katanas you could run in the game, and it's crazy. Obviously, this is a very, very end game build. You can build up to it, which I'm actually making a video here soon talking about how to build up to this. But this build right here is completely maxed. I don't think I'm really going to add much to it later on at all. And it's made to just fly through New Game Pluses. I am on New Game Plus 3 right now, and it takes me only like an hour or two to go through a whole New Game Plus. I don't die to any boss because they die within like 20 seconds. It's pretty insane. But instead of rambling on, let's talk about what's actually going on in this build. So we are running the Occult Uchikatanas. I'll show you why real quick. I get this question so much, and I'm just going to try to cover it. Everybody asks me, why don't you run Bleed Uchikatana? And this is why. So you can see on the left-hand side, we have our Occult Uchikatanas, and on the right-hand side, we have our Blood Uchikatanas. Now, on the bottom, you see, ooh, there's 27 more blood loss buildup. But at what cost? The cost is that physical damage. If you look at the physical damage, we're losing about 100 damage right there. 100 damage per swing on each katana, I think, is not worth it just for the 27 blood loss buildup. When you add Seppuku to it, I mean, you're looking at when Seppuku's on this katana, it's going from 200 blood loss buildup to about 227 blood loss buildup. And I just don't think that trade is worth that 100 physical damage you lose on each one. Now, you can run it with bleed, absolutely. You're going to bleed quicker, but more damage per swing is what I would recommend. Especially when you put into the pool that you're going to run into bosses that are immune to bleed or are very resistant to bleed. And in those cases, Occult's going to deal a lot more damage. Elden Beast is a great description of that. A lot of people have a problem with Elden Beast on this build. I personally don't. I go through it pretty easily, but maybe that's because I've memorized Elden Beast a lot. I don't know. I've fought him like 100 times, so I could see it being a problem, especially with the setup. Worst case scenario, you can switch these to maybe, or respec to maybe more of a quality build. If you're having too much of a problem, switch to quality and then respec into dex and strength. That's a whole nother build I'm not going to go over. If you are gonna fight bosses that are immune to bleed, you should still put Seppuku on, because Seppuku gives a physical damage buff as well as the blood loss buildup, so it's definitely worth it. Alright, now enough of the rambling, let's go into the rest of this. So with our armor, it's important that we run these first two. So we're running White Mask because it does the same thing as Lord of Blood's Exaltation, where when you cause a bleed, it's going to give you extra damage. And they stack together, which is just amazing. As for the chest piece, we're running the Raptor's Black Feathers, which is going to make it so it increases your jump damage, which stacks with the Claw Talisman. The bottom two are up to you. I think Lionel is the heaviest set in the game and might be your best bet, but I personally like how the Beast Champion looks, and it has pretty good stats. As for other talismans, running the Rotten Winged Sword Insignia just for successive attack damage. It adds up to be a lot. And same with this one right here. It also increases your successive attack damage and boosts your dexterity. And they stack together, which is just crazy. Claw Talisman, because Katana's jumps attacks are just great, and you should be using them the most you can. And just Lord of Blood's Exaltation, which I already kind of went over. These are the 4 talismans I 100% recommend. Worst case scenarios, if you run into a boss that you're not going to bleed, you can switch this for the Green Turtle, is what I would do. Either that, or you can put on the Godskin Swaddling Cloth, which is going to heal you every time you deal damage. Alright, that pretty much goes over almost all of the build. I guess the last thing I want to go over is the Finger Seal. I know that's new to the build. Again, this is an optimal build made for New Game Pluses, and I'm level 246, which is a very high level. After I hit max Dexterity and Arcane, well, 80's max to me. It's not worth putting too many more points after that. I leveled up Mind and Faith a little bit to add some spells to the build. The 2 spells that we added, I'll show you real quick, are Golden Vow and Flame Grant Me Strength. These 2 spells stack together, and they're going to increase your physical damage. Now, there is a whole routine you have to go through to get all of your buffs to work together, and it's quite a lot to remember. I will show you in a second, but I will say that I don't upgrade my Finger Seal at all. I mean, you can upgrade it to max if you want, but to my knowledge, it's not going to make any difference to those spells. I think they just have innate damage increase and duration. So Golden Vow is going to last 90 seconds, and Flame Grant Me Strength is going to last 30. So now I'll show you the whole routine that you're going to put on. By the way, I know a lot of people ask me, oh, what should I be leveling when I'm level 120, levels 80, and so on. I'm actually going to be making a beginner samurai guide here in a few days, so definitely stay tuned for that. I will try to cover all of your questions for the early game build of this. Alright, so for the routine that you're going to want to go through, you're going to want to first equip your left hand Uchi-Katana. You're going to want to two-hand it, and you're going to want to Seppuku it. Now after you have Seppuku that, you're going to pull out your talisman, and you're going to put Golden Vow on. After Golden Vow, you go to Flame Grant Me Strength. After that, you're going to put Seppuku on your last katana, and you're going to rush into that boss arena and kill the boss as quick as you can. With all of those buffs on, you should have about 15 seconds of max damage, and hopefully you kill the boss in that time. I normally do. He dies pretty quick. Make sure to hit your jump attacks and be spamming those L1s, and you'll take every boss out in the game very, very fast. I hope I covered all horizons on this video and told you everything. For the Phisik, if you want to run it with the Uchi-Katana instead of the Rivers of Blood, switch that Cerulean to the Opaline Bubble tier to prevent that first hit of damage. It's amazing. Another good tip is if you are running Mimic tier, give Mimic tier the Rivers of Blood maxed out. He'll have a lot more fun with that rather than the Katanas, because he's not very good at seppukuing, and plus it hurts him when he can't heal. But with the Rivers of Blood weapon art, Mimic tier will be going off. That'll do everything for this video. If you guys enjoyed it or you found it helpful, please make sure to hit that thumbs up button. It does help me out a lot. If you want to see some more guides, tutorials, or awesome builds like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I do plan to be covering Elden Ring for quite a while. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye. Spikes out.